Yo, what's up, everybody? Dave Dombrowski, in my opinion, hit a home run at the Major League Baseball trade deadline yesterday. Eagles camp. Jalen Reagor actually looked pretty good yesterday. All this and more, 30 seconds right here on Trending in the AM.
Holding gets around in front.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill every day. Share, like, retweet, follow. Basically, whatever social media platform you're on, do what you got to do to help continue to spread the word of Trending in the AM and DSM Media. If you want to get interactive with the show, best place to do that is on the DSM Media YouTube page. So I can put your questions, thoughts, comments, anything up on the screen, just like that example there that I put up there. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you do me a favor. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. Best way to help us continue to grow. Up to 608 now, I believe. You know, come on. I want to get to 650 in the next week or so on the subscriber. So continue to share it, like it, subscribe, and make sure you tell all your friends to hit that subscribe button. I am Phil Stifel, your host. Today, we've got intern Cole sitting to my side, and down below, we got Dylan Davis. Gentlemen, good morning. And I hope you guys are as excited about how yesterday went for the Phillies trade deadline as I am, because I'm pumped. I think it went as perfectly as possibly it could have yesterday.
I would say that there's two types of people that look at the Phillies trade deadline yesterday. Phil Stifel and Kinda Hot, and then there's like me
somewhere in the middle.
Middle is like the rest of humanity. I don't think it went perfect, but I definitely think we were better when we went to bed last night than we were when we woke up yesterday.
Absolutely.
Well, I just have a quick message to people like Kata, if you're listening, buddy. This is why you relax until 6 p.m. officially hits.
Yes.
Because he was ready to fire Dombrowski, throw him in the Delaware, put him on a boat, and send him down south, right?
Yeah.
And then he trades for Syndergaard, and he's like, we got Noah. Like, it's fine now. Like, this is why you relax. You knew he was going to do something, but I agree with you, Phil. He did a lot more than just something to help this team. He filled many holes.
I mean, Cole, Dylan, I know you had the pregame show, your Phillies pregame show, which you guys did a great job, you and George, yesterday on that. And you guys were more like the instant reaction because it was literally like 30 minutes after the deadline. But the way I looked at this deadline was you weren't, and I don't know if you guys listened to Dave Dombrowski's press conference yesterday after the trade deadline. I listened to it all before the show. And he said every single GM that he spoke to yesterday wanted Abel, Painter, and McGeary, and O'Hoppe. They every person wanted those guys, okay? And even teams that weren't interested, like it's like the Angels, we wanted Syndergaard. A team that, you know, I don't even know any random team, say Seattle, you know, just a team that was making buying moves. We're calling, asking, what would it take for us to get these guys from you so that we can flip them in bigger packages down. He said he got so many phone calls from teams on those guys. If you did not want to move Abel and Painter, and I guess McGeary, you could only do so much.
Yeah.
And he was able to upgrade center field. And I know there's some question marks about Marsh. And we're
in the long term, too.
Yeah, we're going to make – I got some interesting comments on Brandon Marsh I want to get into. You upgraded center field for the next 5 to 6 years at least. You got a reliever. Guess what? All we wanted was Odubel. So you upgraded center field. You get rid of Odubel Herrera. You upgrade your bullpen, which in turn – also gets rid of Jesus Familia, and you got a starting pitcher. So that bullpen game last night is no more. I'm not saying Noah Syndergaard's going to be a Cy Young candidate, but he's a very he's better than Zach Eflin, better than Nick Nelson or Bradley Falter. Bradley Falter could go back to AAA and get called up for spot starts and doubleheaders like he needs to be. I mean, and all he had to do was give up Logan O'Hoppe, a prospect that certain people love. But honestly, not one person in the Phillies fandom knew who Logan O'Hoppe was before April of this year or March of this year.
What?
Very few people.
Okay.
Very, very few fans knew who Logan O'Hoppe was. He became a stud prospect this year. And
he was in single A before this year.
And he was in single A before this year. Logan O'Hoppe is a guy that was as expendable as possible, in my opinion. So I am perfectly okay with losing. You did all that, and you did not have to touch your 3 best pitching prospects. I think that's a home run. You upgrade 3 positions, you get rid of the 2 most negative players on your team, and you bring in 3 people, 1 controllable for 5 years. Dylan?
Yeah, so the Ohapi thing, he was the one prospect that was expendable because the timeline simply doesn't fit with JT here. And like you said, like Cole knew of him, Kata knew of him, he worked for Reading. I get all that, but I would say 85% of just Phillies fans who aren't plugged into the minor leagues farm system, who aren't paying attention to AA and single A, didn't know who he was before, he starts making these top 100 lists and stuff like that, right? The first trade was slightly weird. Now, all in all, you take the total package of the 3 trades and you love the day. It was just odd to see him say 5 days ago, we are not moving X, Y, and Z, and Logan Ohapi was Y in that scenario. And then he trades him straight up for Brandon Marsh, of all people, like not a starter, like Brandon Marsh.
Let's think Brandon Marsh, because I want to get into this. And Cole, I mean, you're a Logan Ohapi fan too. Brandon Marsh was a top 100 prospect a year ago.
Yeah, I know.
Because he was a good player. He really is. I know Brandon Marsh has some really bad stats this year. He strikes out a ton. He's got like a 230 batting average. But I brought up his minor league stats. He is not in his minor league career. He never hit under 288. Okay. One year he had 350, 287, 288. He had a few home runs here and there, not major power, some steals. He a 328, where's his on base percentage? 359, 368, 387. In 2021, he had a 398 on base percentage. Okay, so the guy can play. There's a reason why he was a top 100 prospect. So he's just struggling a little bit on a bad team to adjust. You got rid of a guy that was blocked for another guy that had just as much potential for that you also have control over through 2027
100%
at least. So Cole, I mean, are you okay with it? Knowing that his major league stats aren't great yet.
Yeah,
but
like I said in the beginning, I am okay with the day. I was happy with the day. I thought it was a successful day. The Phillies were better yesterday than they were when the day started. I was a little upset that you got rid of your best non-pitching prospect, and especially for a minor league system that doesn't have a lot of star studs or non-pitching prospects. So that was a little concerning, but the Phillies are in a win now mode. So all in all, I'm not like, am I upset to see Ohapi go? Yes. But the Phillies are in a win now mode, and they are in a better position to make the playoffs. And if they're able to find a way to retain Syndergaard and or Robertson, they're in a better position to make a championship run in the next 2-3 years.
So, Phil, real quick, the Brandon Marsh thing is so interesting because it plays the other side of the fence for the people that say he sucks and they shouldn't have made the trade and Ohapi, is going to be a stud and yada, yada, yada. You just mentioned it. Brandon Marsh was the top what prospect 3 years ago? Top 100.
In 2021, when he got called up, he was a top 100 prospect.
He was probably a year ago. He was probably a little bit more highly touted than Logan Ohapi is at the moment right now, right?
Absolutely.
He comes to the ML, he comes to the major leagues, he struggles to hit. What do people say? Like, people are mad at the trade because why? They think he sucks. He's a bum, right? Well, time out. No, not you.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying, it's people on social media, on Twitter, didn't like it. And those are the same people that didn't want to move Ohapi because he's a stud prospect. You don't know about prospects. This is a conversation you and I have had for 3 weeks now.
Absolutely.
You don't know about them. You cannot sit here and be like, he is going to be a stud. No, they're going to be a stud when they're 19 years old and they're already at AAA ready to come up. When you have to work your way up, they could turn out to be something. But more times than not, they're not. Like, just look what you did with Mickey Moniak. Spencer Howard.
We're gonna get into Mickey Moniak in a second, but I don't know who I read this from, but yesterday, one of the blue check marks, it wasn't Ken Rosenthal, but it was one of those guys, one of the big name Major League Baseball reporters reported that Brandon Marsh, not because of his hair and his appearance, but when he was still in the minor league organization and a top 100 prospect, this blue check mark said that he saw Charlie Blackmon all over Brandon Marsh.
Yeah.
Okay. The swing, the style, he could eventually hit for some power. He's going to be a 300. He's going to come in here. He's going to be the everyday center fielder, probably bat ninth. But once he progresses, Brandon Marsh could be a leadoff hitter on this team. He's got the on-base percentage potential to be a leadoff hitter on this team. So you were able to solve center field and possibly fix eventually your leadoff spot position for a long-term fix. So when I saw that, like, I was a little questioning why O'Hoppe for Marsh. But then when I saw somebody saying, well, he could be Charlie Blackmon 2.0, let's just be honest. For about a 5 to 6 year stretch, Charlie Blackmon was an MVP candidate in this league.
Yeah. Let's just wait and see on him, right? And that's the point. Like, you didn't just solve center. They didn't bring Brandon Marsh in to platoon with Matt Vierling and the rest of the guys. Rob Thompson already told you that when he gets here by Thursday, hopefully, he is your center fielder. Dombrowski said, hopefully we've solved center field for the next couple of years. They have him under control through 2028, as you mentioned. That's huge. Like, they didn't just make this move because he's a glove that can help defensively like Amundo Sosa can at shortstop. Like, that's not that move. They made this move with the intent of him being basically the everyday starter. And now until Bryce comes back, listen, I'm not talking about Matt Vierling's bat, but Matt Vierling in the field is fine. And until Bryce comes back to DH or whatever he's going to do, you can now play Marsh in center and from time to time put Vierling in the corner outfield and have Castellanos and or Schwarber DH those nights, and you're better defensively overall there too.
Honestly, I never even thought of that part of it, and that's Dylan. That's a fantastic point right there. I'm trying to find. I read an article before the show started. I'm trying to find the specific stat here, talking about. It was an analytic stat about Brandon Marsh. You guys keep going. I don't know where. Okay, outs above average. I don't even know. It's a defensive statistic for outfielders. I have no idea where that stat came from, but StatCast uses this stat. Outs above average. He's the third best defensive center field or third best defensive outfielder in that category based off of that statistic.
What I'm assuming that stat means is making an out that wasn't expected to be made. So making an out above an average play. Like I saw a few diving, sliding catches. I'm assuming that's what it means. I'm not positive. That might
be what it means. Yeah.
But
I don't get into those super deep analytic stats normally and stuff like that or what their meanings are.
That's like in football when people bring up like EPA and shit like that. I hate that.
Brandon Marsh, I think it's a confusing move when you think about it initially, but once you break it down, it's a home run, in my opinion.
I think so, and especially with what Dombrowski said, and I think, Phil, you had actually sent a tweet out, or I forget where I had read it first before I even heard Dombrowski speak, was that Kevin Long and this staff, they have to had not sign off on it, but basically said we can do something with that.
We see the problem, we can fix it.
In Dombrowski's press conference and interview, he says our hitting guys think there's a few mechanical tweaks that won't take long to get him going. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, let's see how the rest of this year plays out.
And look, he's going to come here and, at first, I mean, once Segura and Harper are back, he's going to be in the 9-hole. He's going to have very little pressure on him. You know what I mean? Except for the few people that are sad that O'Hoppe went. Cole, go ahead. You can dive in here.
Yeah. I mean, out of O'Hoppe, Payne, or Nabel, I mean, O'Hoppe would be the one I would get rid of.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So, I mean, like I said, it sucks. I wish there would have been another way to find a way to acquire Marsh without O'Hoppe or one of your stud guys, but they had to do something, and they made a move. They got a center fielder, a defensive center fielder, which is big because obviously our defense is not at the level it should be. So he's better than Odubel Herrera, and then you go out there, you get your closer in Robertson, who is better than Corey Knebel, Jerry's Familia, everybody in the bullpen. And then you acquire a starting pitcher who's better than Zach Eflin, who at one point was a Cy Young candidate, who we've seen is a stud at multiple times. We've seen flashes of it this year. Can Syndergaard get the resurgence the rest of the way is going to be the question.
I think that's talking about Syndergaard. I think that's the interesting point here, right? Like, he's been pitching for an awful team, no run support, bad defense behind him. He's not the pitcher he was in New York. Let's not try to get to that, but I think like you said, Cole, can there be kind of a resurgence, like by trying to make a playoff push for a team, trying to help a team get to the playoffs? Yeah, you probably will see a little bit of a different side of Noah Syndergaard than you've seen in LA with the Angels.
Oh, yeah. Also, his tweet last night, officially my favorite player in baseball. That
was great. So on Syndergaard, so first off, if it would have been a Syndergaard and Marsh for a Hoppy and Moniak and the other guy, if it would have been fun, we would have all been. But because it was two individual trades, and that just goes to show me. And you, if you listen to Dombrowski, he was basically trying to get somebody else, which probably was the rumors of Carlos Rodon. Was probably the one he was trying. Then that didn't work out. He got back on the phone with the Angels, already had a good working relationship, and was able to lock up the Syndergaard trade pretty quickly.
Well, from what he said, with 15 minutes to go, he didn't think they were going to be able to grab a starting pitcher. The Angels supposedly called back, I guess, wanting to move his contract. And, you know, the asking price was too high. They come down. It happens. That's part's crazy. But you mentioned the package, Bill. Isn't it just like the NFL draft with the Eagles this past year? Like, and myself included, like, an instant reaction, like, Nakobe Dean slides to the second round. You draft Jason Kelsey's replacement. Oh, my God, what are you doing, you idiot? Yeah. Nakobe Dean gets taken in the third round. Oh, shit, that's a great draft.
You got to wait to see the whole picture. And that's what everybody's freaking out at the first trade. You got to wait till the end and see the whole picture. Look, I want to address Noah Syndergaard because I think that Noah Syndergaard for basically Mickey Moniak, a guy that needed to get that,
a change of scenery. Yeah,
for sure. Noah Syndergaard is pitching pretty solidly this year. But let's be honest. I've got his entire game log for the season up here. Noah Syndergaard, for as well as he's pitched, has only 4 times this year gotten to the 7th inning. He's not the innings eater. I mean, he doesn't have the velocity. He still throws close to 95 miles an hour. He's a guy, we got to be prepared. He's going to be better than a bullpen game, but it's not like he goes 7 innings every single game.
No.
He doesn't put players away like he used to. I'm just looking at his last 3 games. He went 5 2/3 innings, 96 pitches. 4 innings his game before that, 80 pitches. 5 innings the game before that, 92 pitches. He had a couple 7s. He's not that locked down. He's probably, honestly, equal to Kyle Gibson at this moment on this team in importance level. Syndergaard's got a higher ceiling because he was a former Cy Young candidate, and maybe he gets rejuvenated.
I would say he's still better than Kyle Gibson. I would say even Syndergaard right now is definitely better than Kyle Gibson.
But if you look at just his straight stats, and I haven't seen him pitch yet this year, so I don't know what he really looks like.
Yeah, I haven't watched much Angels baseball.
He's only given up more than 3 runs in a start 3 times this year.
Yep, that's for him and Kyle Gibson.
So that's really, really impressive. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys anymore, 64 strikeouts in 80 innings. But you do have to be prepared that I'm not going to call him like the Vince Velasquez or the Ranger Suarez earlier this year where he can't get out of innings. But let's not expect him to go 7 innings and give up, and 90 pitches. That's just not who he is anymore. He's going to be more like when we got Joe Blanton, back in 08, a guy, 07, a guy that's going to go 6 innings pretty consistently, or at least get into that, what's that called, like a quality start. He's going to give you the quality starts every time out there, but not get you into the 7th, 8th inning at all. But for Mickey Moniak, and I don't even know who the other prospect was. Like, I didn't know who he was before the name was, mentioned, how highly rated he was. I think it's a big win.
It's a huge win, and it does exactly what the first 2 trades did, but no one's really talking about that part. So Robertson, you bring Robertson in, you get the DFA Familia. You bring Marsh in, you get the DFA Odubel. You bring Syndergaard in, no more what happened last night.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a starter or even Syndergaard or Gibson isn't going to get blown out once in a blue moon and give up 8 runs.
Blown up.
Right. My point is no more Nick Nelson. And they, before last night, to their credit, they've been pitching incredibly well. It's not easy to go into Atlanta and start a game coming off a win streak with Nick Nelson, Andrew Bellotti, Corey Knebel in the 5th inning. It's a recipe for disaster. That's when you lose 10-1. So the Syndergaard trade, if nothing else, Phil, if he's just a 5-6 inning type of guy, gives up 3 runs or so, it takes away what happened last night, and you're at least in ball games heading into September and October. No more getting blown out every 5th day.
I will say these past year has been very, very good to us from the fact that we don't ever have to watch Vincent Velasquez, Roman Quinn, Odubel Herrera, or Jerry's Familia play baseball as a Philly. Never again.
man.
Never
Dude,
again.
there was a moment yesterday early in the day when I don't know if you guys noticed it, like all day yesterday and on Monday too. Like you heard a whole bunch of trades happen in like a 30-minute window. Then you went like 5 hours with like just dead silence. Then 30 minutes of all these things. In one of those dead silences yesterday when no team was making any moves, somebody tweeted something about Vince Velasquez and the Phillies. I was like, oh, come on. Don't tell me that. I'm paging through Twitter. I'm like, is this somebody trying to make a joke or pulling a leg or whatever? I'm like, all right,
those 4 guys I listed might be the 4 worst MLB baseball players of all time.
Dude, Cole, I was so hyped for Vince Velasquez. When we made that trade with Houston, and I was in a really deep dynasty fantasy league at that point, and you had 6 spots for minor leaguers. Vince Velasquez was one of the minor leaguers I had when he was like in single A ball. I was super high on Vince Velasquez. And I'm like, if we're making a deal with the Astros, Vince Velasquez better be in that deal. And yeah, that didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about that.
That ain't like cheese.
All right. So we made one other trade. David Robertson for Ben Brown, another guy. We just promoted him to Double-A. I almost felt like when they promoted him on Monday to Double-A, in my mind, guys, I was thinking he was being promoted strictly to maybe impress somebody. Like, oh, the Phillies are really higher on this guy than they let on. Let's promote him to make it seem like that, and then maybe somebody will make a trade for him. Because honestly, Ben Brown's another guy. You know, what was he, like a 33rd round draft pick a couple years ago? He's not a guy that was highly touted, really.
No.
You know what I mean? So he's not one of our top 5 prospects or anything like that. Ben Brown, young pitcher for David Robertson, a rental reliever who's having a fantastic year this year. It's a win. Exactly. Correct?
Oh, yeah, and this one was the weird one, right, of the day. You knew they were going after a starter. Yeah. You knew they were trying to address center field. Hell, Jim Salisbury even wrote an article about Brandon Marsh being moved here hours before it happened.
Oh,
the Robertson thing came probably 45 seconds after the Marsh trade happened, and it was just like, whoa, this is weird. And everyone's memory is tainted of David Robertson, right? Because we brought him in, we paid him when we brought Bryce and McCutcheon in, and it's the first time we had high expectations for this team in a long time. He gets hurt early on, doesn't even play the next season. Get him out of here, move that contract. They do. Well, he has had himself a ridiculous year at 37 years old in Chicago. He's got a 2.23 ERA at the moment as their closer. He's got 14 saves. And before last start, where he got beat up a little bit, I think he gave up 2 runs, 3 hits the last time he was out. He had a 1.83. So that last bad start really inflated his ERA up to a 2.23, which is still ridiculous. So it's a great pickup. Whatever you're going to do with him, whether you want to make him the solidified closer because he's done that in his career and you move Sir Anthony to the setup guy, I'm fine with that. If you like what you've got out of Sir Anthony, you keep him in the closing role. David Robertson's your setup. I'm fine with that. Brad Hand's got a sub-2 ERA. Brogdon's been fine. Knable, I know he got beat up last night. Who cares in the middle of this game? Outside of closer role, he's been great.
I wrote down the top 7 relievers for this team, and you adding David Robertson to it. It just, all the names, Brogdon, Bilotti, Alvarado, you write all those names down, you look at them. This bullpen is looking pretty deep at this point. The starting rotation
it went from being just please be average to, oh wow, they might be pretty good actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Cole, you're on board, I'm assuming, with this trade as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping to see, like Dylan said, Robertson or Sir Anthony in the 8th and 9th, whatever way you want to put them. Brad Hand in the 7th, and then if you need somebody before that, whatever you got. You can do Brad Hand, Knable, alternate in the 7th, and then whatever you got before it, Brogdon, Bilotti, Alvarado. You have this, like you said, the bullpen, the way Sir Anthony's played, the way Brad Hand's played, the way Knable was pitched outside of when he was getting absolutely ripped up as closing. You released you got rid of Jerry's Familia and you put Dave Robertson in. This bullpen is solid. Now you have a solid starting rotation. You have a solid bullpen. You're going to get healthy. You're going to have a very good lineup. Very good. If Castellanos can continue to get out of whatever's going on with him, the Phillies are looking. They're in a position to make the playoff push, and like we said, nobody was we all obviously want the Phillies to win the World Series, but nobody won into this season. We need like this World Series or bust. It was make the playoffs.
Yeah, please
get that taste. Give us that feel. Maybe steal a game. Maybe win the first series, the 3-game series now. Just show us something. Mm-hmm. Show us something. Kind of like in 2007 when that team hadn't made the playoffs in a while. They went out there. They made the playoffs. They got their asses kicked and got swept, but they got a taste of it. Give the guys a taste. Because they never ever get the taste. When they get there, they're just gonna get bounced.
So you guys mentioned the rotation there for the bullpen. If the playoffs started today, and we're in the playoffs as of today, who would be your number 3 starter in this rotation? Without seeing Noah Syndergaard pitch, just looking at the box scores, is Noah Syndergaard your number 3 guy, yes, or is Kyle Gibson the guy that you know what you're getting from, which is you don't know what you're getting from him?
No, Syndergaard's 3.
As of now, I'm throwing Ranger Suarez.
At 3, wow, I like that. And Noah 4,
yeah.
Gibby 5, or Gibby, Gibson 5. That's how you're lined up. That's interesting. I like that, confidence. I was confident in Ranger Suarez to begin with, so I like that.
I like Suarez. I'm confident in him long term, but I'm putting Syndergaard 3.
If it's a playoffs, yeah.
As of right now, with how
Ranger could be in your bullpen in a playoff series if necessary. I can't see them putting Gibson in the bullpen in a playoff series or anything like that.
No, but I'm pretty sure, and I'm talking about just as of late how things have been going. I don't think Rangers let up an earned run in his last 3 starts.
Mm-hmm. Look, I tried to tell everybody when everybody was bashing Ranger earlier this year that he had – well, everybody before the year was anointing him a Cy Young candidate. I was like, pump the brakes. It was just jokes and sarcasm, I think. Or maybe people really believed it. I don't know. But he had 12 starts in his career before this year. And then he came out a little slow this year. I'm like, you got to be patient with a guy that's only started 12 times in his career. And maybe you're starting to actually see, now that he's got 25 starts under his belt in his career, he's starting to figure out how to be a starting pitcher. Yeah. And I think Ranger Suarez will be consistent at least down the stretch here. And by next year, he's going to be he's not going to be a Cy Young candidate next year either, but you can comfortably put him next year in the 3 or 4 spot in our rotation. So
for sure.
All right. One final question on the Philly. Well, 2, but 1, not today, not tomorrow, whenever, 3 weeks from now, when Harper's back, Segura's back, now that we have Marsh, we know he's going to be starting every day in center field. This is how I have the lineup written, guys. And I want to know what kind of adjustments you would make, guys. So I would have Schwarber leading off still, even with Harper, Segura, Marsh, and all. I would put Segura in the 2-hole. I would put Bohm in the 3-hole, Harper in the 4-hole, JT 5, Hoskins 6, Castellanos 7, Stott, Marsh.
So I was talking about this last night.
I wasn't sure. I was going to put Harper in the 3-hole where he belongs. Then what do you do with Bohm? Do you drop him back down? But he's earned that 3-hole. So
he has. No, go ahead, go.
I feel like it kind of depends on when everyone gets back, how Castellanos is playing. If Castellanos out of his slump and he's hitting the ball well again, or he's just hitting the ball like he's at an average rate, they probably would bump him back up.
Yeah, you can put him back in the 5-hole.
He has more of a power back.
6. Hey, Hoskins hitting in the 7-hole would be crazy interesting on this team. Having a guy with Hoskins' abilities in the 7-hole.
Mine's odd because I love what Alec Boehm has been doing. Obviously, he just had a monster month of July.
Absolutely.
But I was talking about this last night with George, and mine is Schwarber leading off, Segura 2. Bryce goes right back in the 3-hole for me. And then cleanup gets weird because I don't want to put Costi back yet with the way he's been going. I don't love JT there. I think I said Reese in the 4-hole just because of the potential of the power.
I could see that.
Then I went Costi 5, JT 6, or if you want to flip-flop those, doesn't really matter. Bohm 7, Stott 8, Marsh 9.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was initially going to write, and then I tried to think about how that I can pull Bohm.
Right, you want to keep Bohm up. It's a good problem to have when you're talking about JT 6, Bohm 7 potentially.
I could see them moving Schwarber to like the 4 and moving Bohm to.
They very well could. They could have
Segura could also bat lead off. He does bat lead off.
Segura, Bohm, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos.
I mean, if Joe Girardi was here, Harper might be in the leadoff spot. Harper has been forced into the leadoff spot in his career before. If Joe Girardi was still
I don't know
here.
who you're talking about.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, guys. Final Phillies thing here. I don't even care that they lost and got destroyed last night. Like, literally, I didn't watch it. I was hosting golf shows and appearing on other people's golf shows. I watched 0 Phillies game last night. I know they got blown out. I knew that was going to happen. Is it okay to just ignore it and just, like, short-term memory, get rid of it? But tonight, now, these new players, some of them are going to start coming in and trickling into the clubhouse today, tomorrow. Segura will probably be back Thursday or Friday. Tonight, to me, you got Zach Wheeler on the mound tonight.
Today, 12:30.
Today, 12:30. Today is a must-win game, in my opinion. You got to get one of these 2 games from the Braves. You got your best pitcher on the mound. You just went even further over the luxury tax to bring in more players. Make a statement today so that the new people coming in know we're not messing around. We're here to contend. You don't want to drop 2 in a row. You have to go out and win today. Dylan, you're shaking your head yes.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what you and I talked about on yesterday's show. It's you go into that bullpen matchup last night. Spencer Strider did even more than I thought he would do against his team. He had them looking silly. And then the bullpen gets blown up. The game's out of control by the 4th or 5th inning, right? Today's the important one because Wheels is on the mound, and you've hit Charlie Morton successfully this year and in years past since he's been in Atlanta. It's important for the momentum reasons, as you said, getting the new guys in, and it's just important to me to stay even with the Braves. They were 5-5 with the Braves. You're now down a game. You win today. You stay 6-6 heading in, and then guess what, guys? You get the Nationals 11 more times.
Did you guys see the Nationals starting lineup for last night? Now,
and they won.
Did they win last night?
They beat the Mets on DeGrom's start.
That's how much I paid attention. I didn't even know that. Yeah. That's great. But that lineup looked bad.
It's horrible. It's really bad. The Phillies cannot pull a Met. I know that the Mets have blown the Phillies out of the water this year, so this is slightly a joke. But you cannot do what the Mets did last night and score 1 run on that team and lose DeGrom's first start. The Phillies, like in the last 11 games, I know this is off topic, you have to win at least go 9-2 in those 11. Like that's how bad they are. Yeah.
If you go 6-5 or 7-4, that's
8-3 is reasonable. 9-2 is my goal.
That's losing strokes in a golf term. That's losing strokes to the field. You know what I mean? You know, a hole that everybody's birdie and you par it, even though that's a good score. That's making you fall behind in the tournament. That's what you're doing there if you don't win 8 or 9 of those 11 games against the Nationals.
Agreed.
But yeah, I see. Are you guys doing pregame live today for an early show or no?
Today, unless someone can hop on with me, probably not. George is working. So.
All right, let's drop our predictions. I do see them winning today. I see Zach Wheeler pitching a dominant game today. I actually am going to go with Zach Wheeler going 7 or 8 shutout innings. The bullpen, there's rumors that David Robertson might make it there just in time, which means he might be available in that bullpen today. I don't know if they would throw him or not today, but maybe they would with all the arms that were used yesterday. I see a 3-0 win for the Phillies today. David Robertson, Zach Wheeler goes 7 2/3, 8 shutout innings today. Strikes out a ton. That's how I see the game going today.
Go ahead, Cole.
All right. Well, I have 2 predictions for the game.
Here we go. One's a win, one's a loss.
I predict they're going to win, but I also predict they're going to lose. Yeah.
No, the Phillies are going to win 4-2 today. Zach Wheeler is going to throw in a great game. I think he'll give up 1 run. I think the bullpen will give up a petty run, and they're going to win. Also, my second prediction: Kyle Schwarber's lead off home run.
Yeah, okay.
I like it. Yeah. What are the odds on that hitting a lead?
I don't know. I think I'm like 2-7. Like I think I've hit 2 out of the 7 times I've said it.
But home run hits are like pretty big payouts normally.
Well, no. I said leadoff home run.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge – that's probably like a –
because I did it on opening day.
200-1 or something like that.
I did it on opening day. I should have bet it on opening day because I called that in the pregame – in the season preview. And Dylan scoffed at me over it. And what happened?
No. I scoffed at you because I said Kyle Schwarber home run, and you were like, I'll take it one step further. He does it in the first at-bat.
Did he?
Cole, this is weird. I had the same final score as you, so maybe we need to bet that today. I don't know if that's telling us something or if we're just way off base here. I'm going Phillies 4-2. I think Wheeler dominates, like you said, Phil. I'll go around 7 innings. And let's take 1 out of 2 in Atlanta, which was always the goal.
And then go sweep Washington this weekend.
Yeah, at home. So
at home, exactly. All right, let's transition, guys. Dylan, we had a pretty engaging conversation about the Eagles yesterday. I don't even remember where we left it off. I said I would pick it up there.
Oh,
what were we talking about yesterday? About Lamar Jackson being a bum?
Oh, nice.
I'm just kidding.
Right,
Did you see how quickly Cole's head was down doing something on his phone? He's just, what?
Oh, was it? It was time. It was the Eagles' time. It was timing for the Eagles and stuff like that, wasn't it?
Timing. Yes, exactly. All right, because we were talking about Jesse Bates and you going, not necessarily going all in, but making a trade to bring him here. And I really think timing matters in sports. Like the Phillies, if timing was better, if the Dodgers and the Braves and the Cardinals and the Padres weren't where they are now, I would have considered moving Mick Abel and Andrew Painter and those guys to get the guys that they got. But we're not there yet because even if you moved those guys, we wouldn't be good enough to beat those teams. But on the Eagles standpoint, timing is everything. You make that move for Jesse Bates, you give up a second-round pick, you worry about if you have to move on from Hurts later, because right now, the NFC is wide open. The Eagles are good enough. You get Jesse Bates, you get a top 3-4 defense in the NFL. All of a sudden, you can make a legitimate deep playoff run, at least in the NFC. Who is better than the Eagles for sure in the NFC? The Rams?
The Bucs.
The Bucs? Tom
I'll
Brady's
give you 2 teams.
Isn't today's Tom Brady's 45th birthday?
It doesn't matter if today's his 45th.
I mean,
that guy could be
at some point, though, Cole, at some point, Tom Brady isn't going to slow decline like most players. Tom Brady's going to hit a brick wall and then just go boom.
No, because he's going to retire after this year, so he doesn't.
They just lost their starting right or left tackle for the season.
Their center, right? Jensen,
I know they lost one of their starting all-pro linemen.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say that about Tom Brady.
Timing in sports is everything. Like right now, the Sixers are timed horribly. Like they're all in, but the Bucks are great. The Heat are a great team. The Celtics are a great team. The Nets still have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. They're all in, but so are 3 other teams. The Eagles, if they make one final move for Jesse Bates, could potentially be all in. And you might be talking about an Eagles-Rams NFC Championship game, even if Jalen Hurts plays adequately because your defense is so good. Am I crazy to think that, Dylan?
No. Oh, sorry. I'm not Dylan.
No,
you're not.
No, you're not. And
you never
had
could
this conversation. We've had this conversation often where on paper, you have to assume they're right around top 10. And if you added Jesse Bates, you're probably top 5. But I do agree with the back end of George's statement. Now, this is weird. It's a very thin line. I agree with you, Phil. If Jalen Hurts just plays adequately, they can still make a playoff run, right? I don't know if it's a Super Bowl run, but you can win a playoff game, maybe get to the NFC Championship, whatever. If Jalen Hurts takes a leap, if Jalen Hurts takes a step with or without Jesse Bates, they're making a deep run. But if you add Jesse Bates,
right? So again, let me rephrase it. Jalen Hurts played adequately last year with a bad defense, and we made the playoffs.
Right.
If Jalen Hurts plays adequately, you've added AJ Brown, and then we have an elite defense. We're not giving up 45 points to the Buccaneers in the first round of the playoffs with this current defense. You add Jesse Bates, we might not give up 25 points to the Buccaneers. With that elite, if you've got the number 3 defense, you got to assume you're going to be able to hold the Buccaneers to 25, 26 points max. And then all of a sudden, we're in that game. And that's with Jalen Hurts playing adequately.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know, man.
To Scotty's point in the comments, we've seen quarterbacks worse than Jalen Hurts get carried farther than the Eagles have gone. We've seen guys like Trent Dilfer win a damn Super Bowl.
You didn't see Trent Dilfer win a Super Bowl.
Okay.
I don't even think you were born yet when Trent Dilfer.
Oh,
okay, all right. Just so you know, were you alive when Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl?
I think that was right after I was born.
Yeah.
But that was my next point. Brad Johnson. We've seen Jimmy G now go to an NFC title game and a Super Bowl. So yeah, if you build a solid team around,
We've seen Jared Goff go to a goddamn Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's true.
If you build a defense and and you put weapons around a guy, and you give them the opportunity to progress, they don't have to be Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has the same amount of Super Bowls as Trent Dilfer because it's football. This isn't basketball. One guy can't do it all. There's two sides of the ball.
It's a tough conversation though. It's tougher than I think we're making it out to be a little bit, because you watch that AFC divisional round game and you watch the quarterbacks that are coming out of the AFC.
Absolutely.
And it is a different league now than it might have even been in 2017, 2016 during, when Jared Goff went, Jimmy G. But I do agree with you guys. Like, I think this team on paper for the time being is as talented as they come. Like, the Rams are better than them. The Bucs are better than them. You can't name me a more talented roster in the NFC than the Eagles have after those two. Mm-hmm. And if you're in the top 3 position, who's to tell you can't make a run? It is really, though, all about the quarterback this year.
It is. It's all about the quarterback, but it's also about I really firmly believe in the timing thing. Like, literally, who's going to stop this Eagles team if they make, whether it's Jesse Bates or whether Epps continues to progress? Everything in sports is about timing. Like the Saints aren't any good anymore. The Packers, we don't know who. Aaron Rodgers might be thrown to Randall Cobb again. I don't know. You know what I mean? The Green Bay Packers, whatever. Are we worried about the Minnesota Vikings? Honestly,
some people seem to be. But...
Exactly. The Arizona Cardinals, come on. That organization is a complete mess around Kyler Murray right now. I'm not worried about them at all. Honestly, outside of the Rams and maybe the Bucs, the 2 teams that worry the most are San Francisco, because they've got a great defensive team around their mediocre quarterback or young quarterback, and the Cowboys. It's sad to say it, but the Cowboys do worry me a little bit. They still have a lot of talent on that team. But they're no better or further ahead than the Eagles are at this point.
Let me ask this question. If you trade for Jesse Bates,
mm-hmm.
does it give the Eagles a better chance to make a deep playoff run?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, George is saying
because
no.
any top 5
George is saying
player,
no, but I don't think so.
And if you get a top 5 player at any position, it's gonna.
Well, let me address that again. I agree with the back end of of George's comment, but if you add a top 5 safety, a top 7 safety, wherever you want to place a young Jesse Bates at the moment, it lessens how great Hurts has to be to make that run.
Hurts throws a tough interception. You have more confidence at defense to come up and get the stop back and get the ball back to your offense.
Right. With no Jesse Bates, Jalen Hurts might have to get to here for them to make a run. You add Jesse Bates. It's not a crazy difference. I'm not saying you.
To use George's analogy,
it might be here.
George, you used the analogy a few weeks ago or last week. He came into the league as A. He's at D now. He needs to be D, E, F, G. I had to do my ABCs to know where he was at. He's at D now. He has to get to G to be considered the future of this team.
What?
So George made a comment the other day. Jalen Hurts came into the league as an A, and he has progressed to B, C, and D.
Not letter grade, Cole. Just like the length.
D, the progression. He's gotten all the way up. He's got to get up to G to be a franchise. Well, he only has to get to E if our defense is elite. He might have to get to F if it's a little less elite to carry this team further.
Right.
Exactly what you're saying, Dylan. A little less progression. As there is some progression.
And as somebody who thinks that Jalen Hurts will progress and will show what he's capable of this year and get to G, for lack of a better term, imagine if he does do that and you add Jesse Bates.
That's the point. It's never going to hurt to add a top 5 young safety in Jesse Bates.
Again, we do all this. Hurts progresses. If Hurts gets to G this year, which that's a big jump for him to get to D to G, like go from progress at the level he has and then take it all the way to the top that quickly. He does that. Say he does it, which is unlikely, but say he does. The Rams might not be able to stop us if you add Jesse Bates to the equation as well.
It'll be a much better game.
That would be one hell of a game.
Right.
And look, you bring up Dylan. I want to mention this, and I don't know if my answer's right or wrong here, but you mentioned what we saw in the AFC in the playoffs, especially that Chiefs-Bills game and then the Bengals and all. Were the Chiefs and Bills defense as good as the Eagles defense would be on paper if Jesse Bates was added to it?
Maybe
The Bills is tough because
the Bills
they are
have
a top
James
5
Bradbury,
defense.
Darius
Yeah.
Slay, and Jesse Bates on it, type level players. That they have a defensive line that's got the line that we have. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think, would our defense, if you add Jesse Bates, been able to slow down either of those offenses a little bit more than their opponent did?
I would say, generally speaking, yes, but that specific night, nobody was slowing either of those guys down.
Right. Well, and that's
Gabe
another thing.
Davis is not catching 4 touchdowns ever again in a game ever again in his entire life.
Right, and that's why timing,
Agreed.
but more for a different term here, Phil, is everything too in the playoffs, because I sat here and said, well, look at that Bills Chiefs game, right? The quarterback play, that's what you need to have. But then you turn around, and I know the opposing quarterback was Joe Burrow, but look what the Bengals defense were able to do to Patrick Mahomes the very next week.
True.
So it's
timing. What wasn't Jesse Bates on that defense?
Yeah, but my point is, like, the 1 week he can't be stopped. He's throwing for 450 yards, and that game's phenomenal. And then he throws 2 or 3 picks against Cincinnati and loses to a much lesser Bengals defense.
So, again, back to George here. You know, he says, what if he stays at the D and we spend to get Bates?
To
me, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, well, I don't think what you have to spend has anything to do with replacing Hurts in the future.
It doesn't. And the longer this Jesse Bates holdout lasts, the cheaper. Like, I assumed when this came up 2-3 weeks ago that he wasn't going to report to camp. He didn't want to sign his franchise tag. I said it was going to cost a second-round pick and Andre Dillard. Seems like a hefty price tag, but I thought it was fair. This drags on another week. That second-round pick might become a third-round pick. You might be able to go with not Andre Dillard. You might be able to go with Isaac Seumalo. You know, a lesser of a player, you know, a step down potential. Like, the price every day this drags on is going to continue to get cheaper. And if you have faith in Howie, you still got to have faith that if this doesn't work out and Hurts isn't the guy and you gave up a second or third round pick, well, we still got a surplus of offensive linemen. We still got a surplus at other positions. He's going to find a way to move somebody on. Hey, if Nakobe Dean works out, Kazir White works out, we keep him. TJ Edwards might be expendable. You know what I mean? Like, there are going to be guys on this team. Hell, if Jesse Bates come here and plays well, Kayvon Wallace or Marcus Epps, one of them might be expendable in a trade. You're going to be able to find ways to move players to recoup those picks. What's that?
They also have 2 first-round picks next
year. They got 4 first-round picks in the next 3 years. They've got plenty of ammo if Hurts does not work out to get up there. And Howie, I have the faith in Howie to fix that. And, you know, you gave up a second. Well, we could give this guy away, get a third, give this guy away, get a second, whatever it may be. I have no doubt he could find a way to maneuver. We were all upset when we went from 6 to 12 to 10 and this and that with the draft picks 2 years ago. And he found ways to maneuver and fix and solve all those problems.
I just don't get where the lack of confidence for Jalen Hurts to progress comes from, because all he's ever done is gotten better.
Yeah.
Ever since he's been on the big stage, ever since he stepped foot on Alabama, every step of the way, he's been a little bit better than he was, and he continues to progress. He is one of those guys that just continues to get better. And I don't see a plateau coming anytime soon.
So I'm not there with you yet, Cole, but my thing is I need to see it. I don't get the people that say you won't see it. Like, that guarantee
I know
he won't get better. Because, that part's weird.
From when Jalen Hurts came in for Carson Wentz at the end of 2 seasons ago, was he not better from that point to the beginning of last season? Did he not get better? From the beginning of last season to the middle of last season, did he not get better? From the middle of last season to the end of last season, he got better.
On a bum ankle. On a bum ankle.
On a bum ankle.
Yeah, on a bum ankle.
I'm talking about as an overall player.
It's tough, man, because I can just point to so many moments that dragged me down with him last year. Like the Giants game. No, and then the playoff game. I know it's unfair because it's against the Bucs and what weapons they had, but he's being mocked on microphone essentially by the defensive coordinator because they know he can't do this to get him back in the game. That's what I don't understand, the overconfidence in the kid, and I don't understand the complete negativity in the kid.
I think you're spot on, Dylan.
From the time I started watching, because you know I'm a huge college football fan. So Jalen Hurts has always been one of my favorite players since the time he was at Alabama. I've watched Jalen Hurts a lot, and I have never, ever once seen Grant. Now, there's going to be games here and there where he's going to have bad games. But of an overall, if you just group parts of the seasons together and you just look at it from section to section, improvement every single time down the road. From his first part of Alabama to the end. And then the whole thing happened. He had a bad game in the national championship. Tua lit it up, transferred to Oklahoma, went with Lincoln Riley, became an NFL level passer.
I get it, but I need that progression to be higher than just a little bit, because if it's not higher than just a little bit, Cole, he's not going to be here next year.
Well, if he continues to progress, we're going to see a massive difference now that he has weapons.
No, and I hope. Well, that's where I want to take the conversation, right? Because I'm hopeful with what you're saying. I've seen the glimpses. I've seen the bad glimpses. I'm not saying it can't happen. And here's the positive part, guys. We're sitting here talking about the draft picks in the future, the 2 next year, the weapons, this, that. And we had kind of like not a negative tone, but we're sitting here talking about like doomsday. He doesn't be the guy. What do we have to move? What if he is the guy? Think about how fun the future of this team becomes
agree.
if he proves to be the guy this year.
Yeah. No, you're spot on. I agree with that. And, it's funny because this whole conversation started, I think, 2 shows ago, because I put out a tweet, complimenting Epps. And George is bringing up, what if Marcus Epps takes steps forward as well and is the guy, and you don't have to move on? It's funny because this whole conversation started because I agree. I hope Marcus Epps takes that step forward.
Let's look at this.
What if Marcus Epps takes that step forward and you also get Jesse Bates, and then you got young Epps, young Bates as your tandem safeties? Then your safety pool is set for the next 5 years. What if?
Okay. Yeah. Let's look at it this way. Let's flip this back around on him. So I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan, but if you're telling me I can get Justin Herbert right now, I'm doing it. That's basically the flip side. Justin Herbert's a top 5 quarterback. Jesse Bates is a top. What?
I kind of lost you on that.
He's saying that we're saying go get Jesse Bates. He's a top 5 safety. George is saying no, I have faith in Epps. Cole is saying I'm a huge Jalen Hurts guy and believer, but if I could go out and get Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, I would do it.
I lost that for a second there.
Yes, that's my point. Is just because you can still believe in Marcus Epps, just like I believe in Jalen Hurts. But if you get a guy who's proven, who's young and proven at a top 5 level, like Justin Herbert or Jesse Bates, I'm not saying they can get Justin Herbert. They're not going to be able to.
Yeah,
it's just
your example is very extreme. George.
It's
exactly.
not really. Justin Herbert's right around 4 or 5 for quarterbacks, and Jesse Bates is right around 4.
But you're talking about franchise quarterbacks versus safeties.
I get what he's saying, though.
I get what he's saying, but it's an extreme example of what we're talking about here.
Right.
On a side note, first day in pads yesterday, Dan Cilio, they practiced really hard yesterday in pads. Who had the standout day in practice yesterday? Top 2 guys. Do you know?
Jalen Hurts had his best day in camp.
Jalen Hurts had his best day in camp, and his number 1 connection, Jalen Reagor, had his best day in camp. I'm telling you.
I know, man.
Can we please just get rid of Jalen Reagor? So, because days like yesterday are going to
think about his training camp last year. Remember the catch over New England in the practice?
Way back, But that kept him on the team. Days like yesterday keep Jalen Reagor on this team. But also you do see it's only in camp. It's only in practices that we see it. But you do see in these camps and practices, there is a glimmer of talent there in Jalen Reagor. Does it have to be a Mickey Moniak Philly situation? You have to ship him out of here so he has that change of scenery. But once you ship him out of here and all of a sudden he becomes a stud somewhere else, is that going to break your heart?
Good luck. That's all.
Yeah. No, honestly, no. No, if Jalen Reagor was a stud somewhere else, I wouldn't be heartbroken.
Right. It would be one of those things where you had to realize it wasn't going to happen here.
Exactly.
It was never going to happen.
Simmons. It's the same thing that happened with Mickey Moniak. It just isn't going to happen here. Whether you like it or not, it's not going to happen here. He does not have the fans. He does not have the confidence. You know why he's been playing well in practice? Because there's nobody there fucking watching him.
I think it's the first time I've heard Cole drop an F-bomb on this show. That's impressive. I have a little tally sheet here. Well, I used to, but I don't anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't anymore. I stopped when I had one guest on. He dropped the F-bomb 25 times in the first 10 minutes of a show. So I just like, all right, this tally sheet.
My pen ran out of ink.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, man, Hurts. So Phil, this is what we've been talking about, though. He had his best practice of camp. He was hitting on the long ball over Slay, over Bradbury.
Mm-hmm.
Iron's going to sharpen iron, so that'll help him, get ready for the season. You have to find a way to stack them in a positive manner.
Here, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, today's practice is going to be one of the most crucial practices of all of camp, because today is the first practice that's completely closed off to everybody. There's no media going to be there. No fans going to be there. This is when they really can to practicing. But the problem is, this is the kind of situation where we have, from OTAs that were closed off, and somebody leaked some information to Derek Gunn, and you're going to have to get secondhand information. I'm going to be curious to see what kind of secondhand information is leaked out from today. But today's the day. Look, even though the practices are open to the public and to the reporters, and they're doing things, they don't want this. They don't want things on film, because every reporter's got their phone out recording things. Everybody's talking about it. They're not really giving it. It's just like a vanilla, game plan for a preseason game. I'm interested to see. I wish I could be a bug on a wall today to see how practice goes today. I'm not sure if they're going to be in full pads or not. It doesn't really matter if they're not actually tackling to the ground anyway, whether they got pads or not. But today, when no one's there, is when Nick Sirianni can do the most work, implementing game plans and strategies and stuff like that. And I don't want to say trick plays, but more
flowers,
more little complex parts of the offense and defense today. But I'm worried about the media leaks. All we need is another person to say that Jalen Hurts got picked off 7 times in 6 passes to Derek Gunn. Derek Gunn runs with that on our best friends over at Jacob Media. Why you're watching them instead of trending in the AM Live, the first morning show, the best morning show. I don't know. But this worries me, but it also, this is the kind of day that's important for a football team today.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. And again, it's important to him. And I know I'm not sitting here saying that it's going to change my point of view on him before week 1, because before camp, I said positive, negative, whatever he does doesn't matter. Evaluation starts week 1. But obviously, I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to say if he has an outstanding camp every single day, he's doing this, and that. It's not going to be I'm not going to have a little bit better of a feeling than if everything was negative. So it really all comes down to him. And yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see what comes out. Hopefully nothing, hopefully too negative.
What I would say about is also with, now I lost my train of thought.
That's two check marks.
Yeah.
2 check marks in 3 minutes there, Cole.
Sorry. I was literally sitting here ready to go on this whole big rant defending Jalen Hurts again. You
don't have to defend him to us.
Sorry. No, I'm just saying in general. Oh, yeah, this is what it was. I don't think Jalen Hurts cares what if people are tweeting out that he threw 17 interceptions and 4 passes or whatever. Like, I don't think he cares. Like, he's shown that he's mentally...
No. So hold on. You're right. If it's false, he better damn care if it's true and get back to the drawing board.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think I think he's very good at blocking out the extra noise. I think Jalen Hurts is the exact opposite of Ben Simmons.
Oh,
I think Jalen Hurts, when he goes on Twitter, he sees, fuck you, Jalen Hurts, you suck. He goes, okay, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. Instead, Ben Simmons makes a burner account, shut up, Dylan, tweets about it, and whatever. So I think he's basically the anti-Ben Simmons, and that's why I love Jalen Hurts.
You bring up Ben Simmons. I want to close the show with this funny stat. Did you guys see it? Somebody tweeted out yesterday. In 2016 and 17, the Philadelphia sports teams drafted 5 players, either 1 or 2 overall in the draft. Carson Wentz, Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, Nolan Patrick, and Mickey Moniak. And all 5 are already out of Philadelphia.
God, that was a dark time in our lives.
That is got to be one of the worst stretches of draft picks. And now you're talking to a guy. You're talking to the guy that was the biggest Ben Simmons and Carson Wentz stan there was. And dude, that
I knew. I didn't like it.
And I was actually, Cole, you might not know this. I was actually a huge Mickey Moniak stan as well. So that's got to be one of the worst stretches of first round picks of all time, right there. It's kind of crazy. All right, as my man says right here, best morning show in Philly. There's no doubt about it. People want Hurts to succeed, but go crazy when he practices and struggles a bit. Absolutely. Noise can be good. It could be if you can handle it well. Jalen Reagor. Did Jalen Reagor go out and compliment John Clark for tweeting about his big catches? I don't know. He tweeted about him, tweeting about the negatives. Like, we're going to wrap the show up for today. This same crew, the same three of us, will be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., Trending the AM. Make sure if you're watching this video on YouTube, hit that like, hit the subscribe button. Any other social media platforms, following all of us and DSM on all of them. We greatly appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. More Eagles talk, more Phillies talk. Who knows what else is going to happen? Look, we haven't even had a chance to discuss it, and I want to make sure tomorrow, Dylan, you're in charge of this tomorrow, making sure we get this. I want to talk about the Miami Dolphins suspensions and draft pick losses for their thing. Hold on. He's putting it on the list. I do want to address how stiff the NFL came down on the Dolphins and how good it is.
How loose they came down on Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I know.
Compared to Deshaun Watson. We really have not gotten back to the Deshaun Watson talk either this week.
It's absolutely.
We will get into that tomorrow amongst everything else right here on Training AM. Hey, it's Go Birds and it's Ring the Bell, guys. Let's go.
Go Birds.